What up, everybody? Welcome to Livin Like a G with your girl G. Today we are going to have story time. Many of you know this. I have been a musician for a decade now, and that's not even counting when I was just messing around as a kid. But I spent a lot of time on the road. A lot. Specifically when I was out in Nashville, I played 125 shows a year for 3 years straight and traveled 9 months out of the year. It was kind of crazy. And so I have a lot of just ridiculous stories that happen when you're on the road. And it was just me and my Prius. Honestly, my Prius's name is Raphael because low-key it looks like a Ninja Turtle. And I had this one time where I had to drive from Tulsa to Tahoe. And again, if you followed me over the last few years, you know that I've spent a lot of time in Tahoe. It's kind of where I got my start as a musician, kind of where I got my start as a touring artist. But my boyfriend and I were long distance. He lived in Tulsa, I lived in Nashville. And so whenever I had to tour to California, I would stop through and hang out for a week or so, had to get that road trip quickie, that slip and dip, you know what I'm saying? That okie midnight tokie before going on the road. And I stayed a little bit too long. And when I mean too long, I mean like 2 or 3 days too long. And, the heart wants what it wants. But next thing I knew, I had to drive from Tulsa to Tahoe straight. And when I mean straight, I mean no stops, no breaks. It was basically pee and some gasoline. I mean, that was it. There was no in between. There was no stops. And so while I'm on the road, I'm trying to prepare myself. So I'm starting to call people, right? Because I'm starting to get tired. I've been on the road now maybe 10 hours all by myself. So I'm calling everybody I can think of. And when you're on these long trips, and I had done a lot of them, but this one was definitely the pinnacle. You start calling people that you haven't talked to in years. I mean, hi, Aunt Sue, who's been twice removed, that I haven't spoken to in 13 years. How are you? Yeah, I'm not really into Pokemon anymore. That's a lie. Totally still into Pokemon. But no, I'm a musician. I'm on the road, and you're like trying to talk and trying to rekindle all these relationships. And I'm calling everybody. I mean, to the point where nobody's awake anymore, right? I'm trying to call the people that I know are staying up late. Shout out Aunt Kareen. Aunt Kareen got me through most of those drives because she would stay up till 3, 4 in the morning. But there's this period of time where there's nothing. But anyways, I'm driving on the road, and while you're driving, it's basically just Taco Bell and Mickey D's. And when this is going on, you're like, or when you're hungry, I should say, you're like, Mickey D's nuts. I don't want McDonald's. I want something else. There's I've already had Taco Bell. I've already had McDonald's. Good God, give me something else. And so I come up. This is the one time that I stopped for longer than just gas and pee. I finally come upon the holy of holies, the mecca of fast food, Panda Express. So I had to stop. I was like, look, you haven't stopped at all. You got to stop. You got to get some Panda Express. So I come into this place and I'm like, oh, look at the glossy orange chicken, that sultry broccoli beef, them never ending no good for you noodles. I mean, I'm like, Panda Express is now the best food I've ever had in my life. I am so excited. And so I stop and I get, a full plate whatever. I demolished that, right? And then I'm back on the road. I'm thinking, this is worth it. This is totally worth it. Anytime you see a Panda Express on the road or a Chipotle, and usually the only place where it's at is in Arizona, at least on the drive there. You might get like a Checkers or a Church's Chicken. You know, you might get something like that. But when Panda Express comes around, woo, you're choosing it. You're picking it. And so at this point, I'm feeling good. I'm driving. But then that witching hour comes. And it's the period of time where nobody's awake. And you are stuck with you and a rock star. And that's about it. And so at this point, right when the sun's coming up, I mean, you don't hear a rooster crowing, nothing. It's like right before even animals are awake. And I'm in the middle of nowhere that looks like House of Wax, okay? I don't know if anybody's seen House of Wax. Creepy, okay? I'm like, is someone gonna dip me in a candle and peel my face off? Like, this is mad sketchy. I want to get the frick out of here. I'm not sticking around. And this place has like tumbleweeds, like all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm like, this is stuff out of like a movie. Like, this can't be for real. Like, this, it's fake. It's got to be fake. But no, here I am. And it's like a desert western brawl between me and the road. And I'm driving, and all of a sudden, I see a furry bundle. And I'm like, Jesus, take the wheel. Swerving out of the road. Like, I went off the road. Like, I literally went into the gravel to try to dodge this thing. And then into the other lane of traffic. Well, you mind you, nobody's on the road, but I'm swerving this whole road. It's a 2-lane road in the middle of this horse town. And I look in my rearview mirror and I'm like, what was that? Was that a rabbit, a raccoon, a Furby? Like, what the frick was that? And I look in my rearview mirror and there's nothing. Not a tumbleweed, not a rock, not a mouse, nothing. And to this day, I still don't know if I had a hallucination or was there something in the road and it got out of the road before I could see it. I have no idea. And at this point, I had been on the road for like 21 hours, like 21, somewhere in the 19, 21 hours, completely driving alone. And it's in that period of time where it's like the sun's starting to come up, but it's like 4:35 in the morning. I haven't talked to anybody for 4 hours. I'm struggling. I've been trying to listen to like heavy rock and EDM for the last 4 hours just to stay awake. I mean, it was horrible, horrible, horrible. So to this day, I still have it could have been an alien. I'm sure I was somewhere near, what is it, Area 51 or whatever it's called. Like, I'm sure I was somewhere near there, but I have no idea. I probably almost died, honestly. So finally, I get up like the slippery slopes of Tahoe, and I crash into like a wooden cabin for 2 hours before playing a 10 p.m. show on top of a table in a bar for 3 hours. Drove 25. It ended up being a 25 and a half hours straight. It was nuts. So if you're ever thinking about going on the road, just know, tour's crazy. Hey, if you like this video, please share it or comment below what you liked about it. Just so you know, Livin' Like a G is also on Anchor. So if you don't have time to watch a video, you can listen to it on Anchor. Just look up Livin' Like a G and you'll find it. See you next week. Peace.